everybody, today I'm going to be doing a palette review. If you are new to my channel and you don't know, eyeshadow is by far my favorite makeup. I am kind of obsessed. I love eyeshadow and I love colorful makeup. Today's look is kind of neutral for me, and I wear a lot of color. So when I saw the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette, it was like, obviously this is what I'm going to buy. I love colorful makeup. Kat Von D is one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I very recently posted a top 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes. I'll link it below in case you missed it because it's some good ones in there. And I had 2 Kat Von D ones in there. So this one came out and I was like, yep, it's going in. I gotta have it. And it went on sale, and I didn't realize it went on sale, and it was sold out for a while. And I was like, I missed it. I'm never gonna have it. And I was like having like anxiety. Not anxiety. Anxiety is a real thing. I don't have anxiety, but I was really upset about it. And then it went back on sale. It was like I was like on the wait list. And it was like, hey girl, it's back in. And I was like, cart done. And Hippo, who is, if you hear that click clack, that's a hippocampus. I don't think you can see. There's his little tail. He's very needy this week. Some days he just needs his mommy. But I saw this and I was like, yep, it's coming home. So let's just get into it. This is going to be a pretty detailed review. That's how I like to do it. If you want to see some other products I reviewed, because I reviewed quite a few, it's one of my favorite videos to make. I'll link the whole playlist down below. This is the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. It's amazing. It has 8 shadows, each are 1.7 grams. Now when people say that to me, I'm like, okay, that means nothing to me. So I pulled out some comparisons. MAC, 1.5. Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette. I have reviewed this. It'll be in that playlist. These are 1.2 grams. This is all in grams. Then I pulled out a couple of Kat Von D specific shadows. This is the Innerstellar palette. I don't have the shade in light, but I believe they're the same size. These larger ones up at the top are 2.3 grams, and these smaller ones at the bottom are 1.1. So the Pastel Goth being 1.7, it's kind of in between these two sizes. And last but not least is the beloved, famed Kat Von D Vida Loca palette. And if you haven't seen it, it's kind of the most amazing palette in the world. And these shadows are actually, well, I saw it earlier, 1.1 grams as well. So these are pretty big eyeshadows, in case you can't tell that. 1.8 grams is a really nice size. You do get 8 different colors, and it retails for $38. For a higher end palette, I think that's a pretty good price. And for the Kat Von D formula, it's real good because Kat Von D just does well. As far as the packaging, I think it's gorgeous. Some of Kat Von D stuff I'm super into. Some of it's just not my thing. I'm really into the kind of darker aesthetic. I want to say gothic, but I don't know if that's technically the correct term. But like, you know, some people that wear like really bright eyeshadow, they're really pale skin, they wear a lot of black and stuff. I think that's gorgeous. I love it. Biohazard beauty. That's what biohazardous beauty. That's what I'm thinking of. I don't know how I don't want to offend anybody if gothic is offensive. That's not my intention. But she's freaking amazing and gorgeous. I'll link her channel below. That aesthetic to me just speaks to me. Semicolon, however, comma, it's not my aesthetic. It's not how I dress or, you know, present myself, but I love it. And I feel like Kat Von D is kind of in between that sometimes. And this is just gorgeous. It's black, and it does have Pastel Goth in lots of different colors. And it is a raised packaging. I don't think y'all are going to be able to tell that, but it is raised. It's kind of drippy. A little bit, teeny weeny bit like Kylie Jenner does the drips. I'm not saying Kat Von D copied Kylie Jenner. I don't think they're really on the same field. I don't think they have a lot of interactions with each other. Could be wrong. They could be BFFs. Cool. You do you, man. But when I saw the drips, that's what I first thought of, because I feel like Kylie's brand is so synonymous with those drips. But it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's cardboard packaging, and it is kind of thick, but not like overly thick like you're wasting space. But it feels really durable. And it does have a full-size mirror. As you can see, the mirror does have those drips on it as well. And then you have 12. I just put 4 more eyeshadows in there just for fun. You have 8 eyeshadows. These are all matte. and they're all beautiful. So you have Star, Clementine, Meow, Dope, Doom, Gloom, Dagger, Skull. Now, one thing I do want to make very clear before I even start swatching, I read Skull and I said, wait a minute. That's in the Kat Von D Vida Loca palette. She has a shade called Skull in there. I was incorrect. She has this shade, which is called Skulls, as in the plural form of skull. And it's a shimmer. So I just want to make that clear. Because I was like, girl, you reused your shadow. But she didn't. Not Kat Von D. No, ma'am. I don't have every Kat Von D palette. Wish I did. So she might have reused one. But not to my knowledge. It's beautiful. I think that for the color selection, as I always say with colorful eyeshadow palettes, if you hate the idea of wearing color on your eyes, if you are a neutral girl 100% and you're like, I want some gold, give me a little bit of brown, and I'm happy. Not for you. If you're like, I'm kind of ready to experiment with some color, might be a really good option. $38 is not that much. Also, I was speaking about it with someone on Instagram. I feel like these shade range, they are colorful, but they're kind of a muted color. And so it makes it really easy to wear. It's a lot more wearable than, say, the Vida Loca, the Full Spectrum, the Urban Decay Electric palette. Things like that. I feel like it's just a little more wearable because it is bright, but it's not overly bright. And again, I said this in my haul that I posted, but in case you did not know, I know that the Lorac Love Brunch palette just came out, and it's a pastel palette as well. Kat Von D has said this was not meant to be pastel as in light Eastery colors. This was meant to be pastels as in those like oil pastels that you color with in art class. Or like if that's your job, if you're an artist, super cool. I'm not an artist, not at all. And Kat Von D is an artist. So that was her motivation and inspiration, not pastels such as Easter, if that makes sense. So I want to just let y'all see these shades really quick, and we're going to get to some swatches. First, we're going to have Star, which is by far the brightest shade in this palette. There we go. I do have, I would say like a light skin tone that is more cooler toned. And it does show up really nicely. I think it would show up. I feel like Kat Von D has really pigmented shadows, and they're really geared towards all skin tones. I don't think any of these any of the shades in this palette would be like, you know, if you have a deep complexion, it might not show up, or things like that. I think that it would really work for anyone. Now, if you have a different complexion than me, and you're like, no, ma'am, I can't use that, let me know. Let's be on the same page. To my knowledge, which is very slim because I'm only one skin tone, I think it would work. And that, to me, is just beautiful. It's a bright yellow. I've used it as an inner corner and under the lash line. Under the lash line, it didn't give as much pop as I was hoping, but for the inner corner, I thought it was really fun. And again, it's all matte. I think these are all really buttery and smooth. Now we have the shade Clementine, which is a really cool kind of a peachy orange. That's kind of, from the way it looks on my camera, it is blending into my skin tone. I think it's a really cool transition shade, because it'll give you a little bit of color, but it won't be too much. I think a lot of people would use that, especially since so many people right now are loving those orange Morphe 350 or 350 type shadows, and I think that would be lots of fun for you. Again, with my lighter skin tone, these two show up and they are powerful, but they blend in a little bit as well. Next, we have the shade Meow, which is what I have in my crease, and this is a gorgeous Radiant Orchid color. If you followed me for a while, you know the Radiant Orchid was the color of the year in 2014, and I'm still not over it. It's so pretty. I love this shade. This might be my favorite shade. That's a big statement. It's probably not, actually. I think I know what my favorite shade is. It's gorgeous. Again, so pigmented and blendable. I did find that in general, this palette was slightly less blendable than some of our other ones, but I still think it's got very nice quality. They are all mattes. That might have something to do with it, but I do think they did blend, and they're not patchy. I hate patchy eyeshadows. Next, we have the shade Dope, which is seen all over my lids. This is a really beautiful kind of a gray purple. Beautiful. Pigmented, lovely. I just don't have anything bad to say about it. Next, this one, if we're being honest, is probably my favorite shadow. And again, if you've watched me for a while, it doesn't surprise you. It's the shade Doom. I love a bright blue. I do have it on my lower lash line today. So you can see it does add some color, but it's not super pow in your face. And I think that's just because of the shade that it is. It's like a light sky blue, but it's really vibrant. It's kind of very unique. I'm not going to lie, when I bought this palette, I was like, I really wanted it, don't get me wrong, but I was like, you know, I have so many colorful eyeshadows palettes. I really do. And I could probably dupe that. And now that I own it, I don't think I could. I can try and make that a video, but I don't think I could, because that's just such a unique shade, because it's light but bright. Then I have the shade Gloom. This reminds me of Frankenstein. I don't know if that's what she meant, but it's like a really cool, kind of like a zombie dead skin with some green in it. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love that shade. I think it's really unique, and I think it's really cool to like put it in the outer corner to give you like a little bit of color, but it's not, again, it's not like, hey girl, I have on some bright blue eyeshadow, or like, what up, who doesn't want to wear hot pink, bright blue, yellow, and lime green in one look? I thought I just dropped it and it was gone forever, and I was just gonna have to jump out this window. I didn't, guys. We're all good. We're all good. Calm down. Calm down. We're all fine. But I just think it's a really cool color, and I think it gives you the color without being too bright. I think that's kind of the whole gist of all of these. You can see they're pigmented. It's not like, oh, you're just gonna have to build it up. You know, you don't have to build this up. You just get it without it being too overpowering, which I think is very wearable. Next, we have the shade Dagger. It's a beautiful green, but it's got a little, it's beautiful gray, but I think it's got like a little bit of green in it, almost. I'm gonna go over here by Star, because that makes perfect sense. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not just like a straight gray. It's got a little bit of coolness in it. This one, if any of them were going to be patchy, it'd be this one to me. But I don't think it is. I think like, maybe on a scale from 1 to 100, it would be like 3.748% patchy, which is pretty good. So just a teeny weeniest bit patchy, but in general, pretty great. And next and last, we have the shade Skull. That's what's on my brow bone. Oh, and I didn't mention it, but Dagger is in my inner corner. My outer corner. Skull, it's a beautiful white. Again, this is very pigmented. I like a really white for a brow bone highlight. If you want to put some really bright shadows on, you don't have like a milk, like the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in milk like this, and you just want like you have like a nude, like a primer potion, Elf, like one of just the nude typical eyelid primers. You could put Skull on it, and then I think it would make your eyeshadows pop. Again, I think it's great. I love it. I use it a lot. Like anytime I use this palette, this is what I have on my brow bone. But I'm gonna give this one a 7.4% patchiness. Just a weensy bit more than Dagger, but again, not like, oh, this is a gross patchy shadow, but just a weensy bit patchy. So here are my swatches, and here's the palette. I'm sure you can tell, but I do love it. When I first got this, I had a bunch of inspiration. I like saw it, and I was like, well, I can think of about 15 looks just using this palette. Today, I had a little bit harder time creating a look. I really like what I came up with. I think it's really pretty. I think it's wearable, but still colorful, which I think is really what you're going to get from this palette. So again, if you're trying to experiment with some color, if you love color, if you are thinking, I want a little bit of color in my life, but I don't want it to be so dramatic that I would feel uncomfortable, depending on what you do. I mean, if you have like a really stodgy business job, like, it's harder for you to wear certain things. I know, like, as a professor, I'm not a professor yet, but it's like, as a professor, I don't know if I'll want to wear super bright makeup because I need my students and my peers to really respect me. And it's hard to respect someone when they have, like, bright blue glitter on their eyeballs. I get that. Not saying it's fair, I'm just saying I understand that mindset. But all in all, I love this palette. I think it'll give you some color without being too much. I think it's a unique thing, and I think it does have a space in this makeup industry and in the world right now. I do feel like there are some things that I make videos called Do You Need It? And I can do that with this palette. I'll do any video that y'all want. If y'all want to see a look, whatever you want to see with this palette, let me know and I can make that. But a lot of times I find, especially when I buy so many colorful makeup palettes, it's like, yeah, this is pretty, but it's kind of similar to this, this, and this. I feel like this Pastel Goth palette, with the shade selection Kat chose, I think it's unique, and I think it's interesting, and I think people can use it. And I love it, and I'm really glad I have it. And $38 is not cheap by any means, but I also don't think it's like ridiculously expensive. You have 8 shadows that are a really nice size. I don't love when people are like, it's a great deal, look at all the eyeshadow you get. Because when was the last time you went through an eyeshadow? You know, it's one of those kind of things, which I feel like is kind of a cop-out, but it's also very true. Especially, even though I love these shades, you know, how often are you going to go through a bright blue? So having a giant pan isn't like a super big selling point, but it is there. You know, you're not going to get 4 uses out of this pan and be like, oh, cool, it's gone. I think $38 is a fair price. I think Kat Von D makes beautiful eyeshadows. And I think that if these colors speak to you, I think you should get it. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, assuming you can afford it and such. I'm not trying to tell you to like, yo, girl, don't pay your power bill. Go buy yourself some eyeshadow. Let's not do that. But if you like it, I like it a lot. And I'm a big fan. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found some things out. Again, there's a close-up of all the swatches. I love it. I love it. And I hope you love it. If you got it, let me know. Let me know what you think. If there's something else you want to see me review, let me know. Whatever you want to see on this channel. I do say that, but I don't just... Nothing I say on this channel, I just say because I feel like I have to. I say it because I really mean it. That's the kind of person I am. And if you want to see something on this channel, let me know. I want to know about it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. And I'll see you all real soon. Bye.